Hello Internet, and welcome to my channel. Whatever the name of this channel is going to be, my channel is kind of undergoing an identity crisis. I want to do YouTube, but I have no idea what exactly. Well, that's not true. I have so many ideas that I don't know which one to start with and which one I would be most comfortable doing. So I just thought I would get started filming and see where that would go. I have had a couple of people ask me about doing a YouTube channel, and they made some suggestions, and some of those suggestions I didn't think I would be qualified for. But then again, on YouTube, who's really qualified? Because most people that do YouTube, from what it seems to me, are just the average, ordinary person down the street and sitting in their room in front of a camera with a microphone, doing their own thing. And so I suppose I'll just get started with drawing. I like to draw, I like to paint, anything that is artistic or creative, that's what I love to do. I also do photography. I love photography. And like I said, anything that I can create or do something beautiful with, I love colors. That's just who I am. I am an artist. Not self-proclaimed, I just am. I believe that anytime you want to get your hands into a certain collective group of the same thing, I'm not sure. For example, I have a friend that is a musician, not just because they play one instrument, because just because you play an instrument, I don't believe makes you a musician. Technically, I suppose you would be. But at its very core, just because you can do something doesn't make you earn that title, in my opinion. I don't think. So, for example, this woman that I know, my friend, she goes to school for music, and she can play almost, if not all, instruments that come her way. She told me she can play the bagpipes, the accordion, she can play the piano, the violin, the cello, drums, anything. And so to me, that is a true musician. I believe I am qualified to be labeled as a true artist because I like to draw, I like to color, I like to paint, I like to sculpt. I've not had a lot of experience with it, but anything that I can do. I like to do spray paint art. I recently got an airbrush, and that's pretty cool. It's really, really time consuming, but the results are amazing. And like I said, I love photography. Just anything where I can get creative and make beautiful things, that's what I like. I've also done graphic design. I've gone to school for graphic design. And I do enjoy makeup because it can be really fun when you get really into it, like cosplay and all of that. That's super fun, something I really enjoy. So without art, my life would just be meh. And so I figure I'll just do some drawing and talking because I also enjoy conversation. I guess I'll just explain a little bit about myself in this first one. I enjoy conversation. I enjoy conversation. I am an INFJ. If you don't know what that is, it's just a personality type, and I don't like to read too much into that because everybody can set themselves to be whatever kind of person they really, really want to be. And I'll probably talk about that more in some other time if I feel like it. But what this just means is that my personality type, I don't mind small talk, but I really don't like small talk. I like conversations. I like thought-provoking conversations where it makes you question your beliefs without trying to bring you down. It's just get the brain going. Let the little gray cells just go. I'm not necessarily the type of person where I just want to question the foundation of society for a ridiculous cause or anything like that. It's just, I want to know why we do what we do and say the things that we say, and that will be part of this as well in further or future episodes. And that will be part of this as well in future episodes. But where was I going? Yeah, I've always been a person that likes to ask the question, why? Not out of a rebellious or mean spirit. I like to know why we do things. And so we've gone from art, music, conversation, foundation of society. So I'll just get started with drawing and do some talking, do some thoughts. Why not? Because it's the internet. It's the 21st century. We can do, apparently, whatever the heck we want.
So let me just clarify what I was saying earlier, and the fact that just because you can play a lot of different instruments, I said, doesn't make you a musician. Just because you can play a lot of instruments doesn't make you a musician. I don't want to diss on anybody who is capable of this. For example, I myself am a worship leader and a musician, considered a musician at my church because I play instruments for church. I've been taking guitar lessons for about 6 months, but I've been playing for about 12 years. I'm mainly self-taught, and I wanted to improve, so now I am taking guitar lessons. Excuse me. I also can play the mandolin a little bit, and I've had 1 year of piano lessons, and I tried my hand at violin. I also can whip out a couple of tunes on a penny whistle, an Irish penny whistle that I have hiding in my closet right now. And I've also had my hand at the harmonica, and I can get a couple of songs out, like When the Saints Go Marching In, and Zelda's Lullaby from The Legend of Zelda, and a couple of other cool songs like that. But I wouldn't consider myself a musician because it's not in my heart to be one. And so when I say that when I was saying that, I consider myself an artist because I've gone to school and I like to do all these different things, what I mean is it in your heart? I work at a place where people create art. And just because they've created a painting or something like this, in my opinion, it doesn't make them an artist. And I've met several people that agree with me on that. And just because they painted something one time doesn't necessarily make them an artist. But it could lead to something. I always tell people to give it a go. Just because they've never been an artist, or maybe they're not very artistic, maybe they've just never been given the opportunity. And so they might unearth a hidden talent. And I actually met a lady one time. I've met a couple of them, but there was this one lady. She had never painted before in her life. I teach painting classes, by the way. And she painted a flower, and she was really excited. It was just her and I, and she painted along with me, kind of like what you do when you follow the good old Bob Ross. And she created, it wasn't perfect, but it was still really beautiful, especially because she tried so hard. And she had so much fun that at the end of the class that she said, I need to go home and get some painting supplies, like paint and brushes and canvases, and I need to get started with this. She said, I really enjoyed myself. And her painting was actually because of the way I like to paint and the way that my style is. I really like to blend. I enjoy blending colors. I like the challenge that it presents. I like the challenge that is presented there especially when you're doing flower, because that's what we did. We were painting a calla lily, a pink calla lily. And she did, for her first time especially, a fantastic job. And I've never seen her again. But because of her enthusiasm and her excitement and the fact of the skill that she performed, and although that is not necessarily a factor, because we all know that when we first start out new things, we're not always the greatest at it. And who is, right? But she did such a good job that I believe in my heart that she'd never been given the opportunity to become an artist. And so I'm not hating on anybody. Please don't misunderstand me. In my mind, I just think that just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that's what, when it comes to traits, that necessarily is who you are. Doesn't mean you can't become that kind of person, but I don't know. That's just me. I could be wrong, or it's just a matter of opinion. It might not necessarily be one of those things where it's right or wrong. Kind of like when you look at a 6 or a 9. Depending on where you stand on the side of the street, if you would draw it out in chalk or something, excuse me, it can be a 9 or a 6. And it really just depends on where you're standing. There's really no right or wrong answer, I suppose. I mean, if you got down to the nitty-gritty, if you were writing a 9, it's a 9. If you're writing a 6, it is a 6. But if you would just see it out in the middle of nowhere, let's just say somebody decided to graffiti a building, and there's this number on it, and you just don't know if it's a 6 or a 9. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that I'm not discouraging you from being artists, and I'm not saying that just because maybe you're bad at it, or because you can't do multiple versions of, or part of different mediums, rather, of artwork, doesn't make you an artist. Not at all. There are some people that, they can partake in a certain medium, but they have a favorite, or they're just better at some things. I'm not really sure what I'm better at, because I really enjoy drawing, and I really enjoy painting, I would say, and photography out of all of them. And photography to me is a form of artwork, but it's a little bit different, and I don't want to get on that. But I believe that you can get better at anything if you really, really want to. And again, it's not to discourage you or to throw hate on anybody. It's just my opinion. I just thought I would throw that out there. If you have an opinion about that, I wouldn't mind hearing about it. If you wanted to write something down below of this video, if you think that I am correct, or perhaps you have a different way of looking at it. Might not be, again, it's like that 6 or that 9. It might not be that either of us are right or wrong. It might just be a different perspective, and I enjoy those. So I would love to see what you have to write if you do have a different theory or approach on that kind of belief. I know I haven't done much drawing. I just kind of worked on some of the shading in here because I'm not exactly sure which part I'm going to work on next. You can see that this is Boba Fett, kind of a chibi style Boba Fett. And I just got some brand new Copic markers. And I love these things. These things are a game changer. If you don't know what Copic markers are, they're like the best ever. And look, they can be like $7 to $8 per marker. And as you can see, my collection for Copic markers, or Copic, I went to a drawing night at a local geek cafe, and I asked the people there, because they've been drawing a lot longer than me, I said, is it Copic or is it Copic? And they said, really, it doesn't matter, and it kind of just depends on where you come from. And if you say one or the other, everybody will know what you're talking about. So I prefer to say Copic markers. I don't know, it's just me. But my mom gave me this one, and I used it to blend things. You're not really kind of supposed to, because they have a particular brush specifically for, marker specifically for blending colors, but this just kind of adds a whole flair of whimsy. And then I got these green ones because I did a Merida Brave picture, and I'll show that one later, and I decided I need these ones because of all that grass and everything that I love so much. And then I also got gray because I figured, well, if I'm going to do some Star Wars ones, because I love Star Wars, I better get some gray. Because you can also use this to blend. I did this also inside his mask. Here you can see some gray in there. And it just takes it to a whole nother level when you put a marker like this over top of a pencil. And you can see this isn't perfect, like especially here on his forehead. I really like it, but it's not where I was meaning to go with it. And so I myself am still learning how to use these. And I don't know. I just want to clarify that, because I don't want people to think that I'm some uppity know-it-all. I just like to say things. I like to think about things. And that's just my personal belief. Like I said, if you have a different belief system when it comes to the fact that if you can paint something, that automatically makes you an artist, well then so be it. If it makes you feel good and everything. I'm not necessarily like that. Just because you say it don't mean it's true. But I'm not going to dissuade you from that because it's not really a big deal. There are other more important things to think about. And who knows, maybe that person or the people that say that will become artists. You know, I'm not saying you're naturally born an artist per se, or maybe you are and we just don't know about it. It's kind of like a destiny. I don't know, something like that, if you believe in destiny and all that. So, well, that's it for today. I'll try to fill in some more. We'll color in some more of these as we discuss other topics that come to mind. And, well, that's all.